introduction seminar to where we're going with these knives in our training. So if I go back to the history, why we have bridging in the Wing Chun system is because of these. All right? This is the extension of the bridge. So what we have is the reason why we bridge in Wing Chun, which is also a Southern Kung Fu system, is because of these. All right? If it wasn't, then you end up something like kickboxing. There's no point in what appears to be chasing the hands in Wing Chun. Things like moves like lap sao, pat sao, all the moves which I'll explain to you, so I know a lot of you haven't seen these moves yet, is because it looks like they're chasing the hands. It looks like they're wasting their time as well when they're chasing the hand. Why would you bother chasing a hand for? Well, you could just punch them in the face. I mean, if you can just get there quicker, there's no point in engaging the bridge. So the bridge is because they have one of these at the end of it. So at all costs, you have to protect yourself against what was at the end of one of these, basically. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll run through a few of the techniques that are classic Wing Chun techniques. Then you'll understand what we mean, why it looks like you're chasing the hands when we're actually doing it. Alright? So if I grab Rich for you just quickly. Now before, could you grab my staff as well? So I'll just show you where we got to last time. When we were demonstrating, you just put your knife just down for 1 second. Now, what we said before is that you just put it vertical. You just put it, just put it vertical. Yeah. What we had before is that just showing you how to hold the knives. Alright, so just going again is actually identical to our punch. Alright, so it's the bottom three separated from the top two. Alright, so then we've got the pivot from there. Alright, so where we got to last time, we got to the place where we were looking at the structure and the part where we're doing the slashing. Alright, the reason why we do the slash is because it's alright from this distance. What about at this distance? Still got a bit of hit. When I get to here, I still got a hit. So you have to learn how to slash. Alright, so from there, what happens, because when we create the slash, there may be forward pressure because he's got a heavier weapon, or he's walked in with his weapon. Again, so then we need to create a structure. So if I hit the staff and which pushes it into me when I hit it, I've got to have a means of holding a structure. I'm not holding a structure for structure's sake. What that's telling me from this position is that whenever he pushes me in there, it's telling me which direction I need to go. Alright? So what happens, the first we learn to strike is that we learn to hit it with a structure. That means that I'm going to have forward energy. But that's not for me extending it, because if I extend the hand, there's no structure. So what do? We know where the structured depth is from in terms of range. Now, this is a short range system, so I need to close the gap. So what happens, while we're extending the knife to get there, we step in. But when we step in, we step to go down to create the forward energy. We do not extend the hand to break our structure. So the first thing you guys are going to learn is to learn how to strike within the structure. Now within the movement of the knife, there is only from the position of the guard structure into the next position. Alright, it's exactly the same as the tan. You either have opened or you have opening. So what we don't want to do is close off the position before we've even started. So same position here, because what happens, if I need to get the energy, I need to get it from the bottom right through to the top. So what happens, what I don't want to do, is bring the energy straight to the top there, because if it pushes it in when I'm in the top, there's no structure at all, it's going to break the position. So again, what happens, if I slow it down, when we hit it, the energy comes after. Yes, it doesn't go before, it comes in after. Now, the whole movement is that when we hit, I need the structure from there, and I need to release the energies. How do we release the energy? When we pull from the bottom three, we need to press on the top to create this. So it becomes, so that's what the part is, that's going to be the harder part for you guys, is to learn what we call the heavy part. So the heavy part is the soft part where I release the energy. So I'm not hacking and chopping like that, I'm actually releasing the energy out to the outside blade. But we first be firm, we have to learn how to slash it. Then we learn how to go forward. Then we learn how to sidestep. Every time we hit it, we always have a guard. Okay? And the last part, when you release the energy, you can't do it on these, otherwise they're going to break. You're going to have to find yourself a bigger tree or something to hit it with, okay, to actually release it, otherwise you're just going to damage or break your staff. But the last part of this is how you release the energy out through to the blades. You have to hold it to let the blade come out. So the base is here, and when you press on with the thumb and forefinger, that releases it to the end. So if I just do it softly, the energy comes out. Not because I hit it, but because I released it out. Okay, so that's the last part of that bit. Now,
you do that really slowly?
Yeah, so what happens, if I come here, what I'm doing, I'm pulling on the bottom three and I'm pressing. But sometimes, for the sake of training, just press it right up to the hook there, and you'll feel that you're actually pulling and pressing. But rather than think about pressing, think about releasing the energy there. So if you relax the hand, it feels like this. So it's not it. You don't want to hold the knife with all the four fingers, because if someone hit you with a heavy shot, the likely you'll lose your knife. So I don't want to. So if you grab your knife now, and I'll show you when we move on to show you what I mean. So when you hold the knife, you've got to hold it with the bottom three and the top. So you can either have them all loose, but then you've got to pivot. Because what's going to happen is if I hit your knife, can you see how it shakes your hand when you held it like that? So let it loose, leave it on the three. Now can you see your knife won't fly off your hands? Can you see the difference? So you don't want to be holding that, we're going to get a shot right up to your upper bone there. So what happens, if I hit it, what I'm doing is that slowly I'm hitting it, first part, and I'm releasing it. So the head is because you released it from the base to the top. So you just practice, but you're going to have to do it 10,000 times to feel that heaviness. So what you don't want to do is get the habit of hitting it like an axe. You do not want the energy at the top when you're throwing it. You want to get it from the elbow, so the elbow is always pulling. So you'll have your base, because you haven't got a base, you won't have the top. You have to pull down. So every movement when we're first doing it, the other knife, just pull, keep pulling. At this stage, don't work on the forward energy. When you add the forward energy, you just start going down and add the forward energy. At this point, all you're doing is you're playing with the structure, because if I stop, there's my structure. Alright, so where is this heading? What we're not interested in, what we're not focused on, we have to do this part because we have to get the knife so we get used to having it square on. Anything less than square on, I'm going to take that position just on my structure. So what's going to happen is that, well, where is all this leading to? We have to learn this, but when we're actually going to use it, when you throw that knife, it's actually going to stop. It is not actually going to go past. And you need to go past because what happens, you need to learn how to pull the energy and let the energy so you know how to create or power your blade. When we eventually use it, we are not chasing that blade. Okay? So what happens is that this is the final bit. So you won't be able to do this yet. So I don't suggest you start training this way, because what's going to happen is that if I stop the blade, I have to let the energy come out to stop the blade. What I'm not trying to do is holding it with all my power to try to stop that blade. The energy itself stops the blade, yes? Alright? So what happens is that there's several movements going in there. So when I'm hitting it, what I'm not doing, okay, so if we go blade for blade, this is showing where we want to end up for it. What's going to happen, as soon as I touch that blade, you're not going to be able to stop that coming through. Not because I forced it in, because I add the distortion to that. Yes? So, but like I said, this is going to be the last part, or the end part of the actual training, where we're actually hitting it. So what I'm not trying to do is trying to get this one and trying to get another one as fast as I can. What happens is that if we touch the blade, my blade is coming in. I'm not going to challenge him for that blade in terms of power. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take out that blade, with the bridge, so that when he forces back, he's not going to get a force back because his bridge has already been taken. This is why I say it's an extension of the bridge. We're not challenging for speed. Now, of course, if you speed, you don't see it, then you're dead anyway. But if we look at it, and I'll go for the next part, look at these techniques, because in Wing Chun we have all these techniques like Paso, Lapso, Bongso. So where would they be relevant? All right. So you think about it. If we hit the blade and you just whack it, and I hit, we both end up there. Then it's not relevant. Why is it not relevant? Okay. So for instance, you just swipe a blade down. If I hit the blade, if you tell the blade, just come down hard with the blade, and I'm here. If I have no intention of going through, and I want to just go through to him and hit the blade, and I find this pressure here, well, what's going to happen is that I'm not going to let go of my blade. Why? Because if that blade's on me, the last thing I'm going to do is take it away, because that blade's on me. So if that was a punch, it would be different. He'll just pull that back. He wouldn't be worried about that blade at all. So we use your strong hand. So if he comes in from here and I block it here, what's happening is I suddenly find myself out of position. I need to move very quickly, but I'm not going to move with that thing pointing at me. So what's going to happen? Bongso. What happens with Bongso? Lapso. Why do I need a Lapso? Because he's still got one more weapon. I need to hold that position. There's your lap. But you wouldn't need it in the punch, because if you punch me from here, I could just go back and punch him, try and get another punch from there, but I'm not going anywhere. Why I can't go anywhere? Because he's walking in me, get the gong on me, hold the gong. He's on me here. The energy here, I have to release it. Where's it the release? There's the gong. Now, I need to switch, because he's got one more weapon. There it is. There's the lapso. Yes? Alright? So if I hit the hand from here, and I want to get rid of that knife here, why do I have to get rid of it? Why? Because he's pointing at me. I need to hit the knife out somewhere else. There's the Patso. All the moves in Wing Chun, the bridging moves, are far more effective when you have the weapon at the end of them. Because that was what it's designed to do originally, is because somebody's holding a set of weapons. Yes? Any movement, anybody's pressing, we can still use the tan to come in. Anything that we can do on the bridge, we can do with these. So that's the reason why we train this at the end. So when you've got a better control of your bridge, then you're able to control these better. I'm not saying you need to do the bridge, you can train it separately, but then traditionally, we train the bridge so that we can use the knives. Alright? So when we look at, for example, the Wing Chun, we hold it the same way, and we do it the same way. The only difference is, we just don't do it how we do it in the form, because the form is deliberately distorted. It's there to carry the information, the concept. It's not there to show you how it's supposed to be done. Alright? So we know from the knives that we do not hold the knife straight, or we end up cutting each other's fingers off. Alright? So we always hold it on the diagonal, on the 45. So if I want to do the Wing Chun, now, just give a classic example, the Wing Chun. All we do next, all we do is we're going to turn it on its side, but we're going to add footwork to it. So it doesn't matter what move Rich wants to move first. He makes a move. First thing I do is the first movement, I step behind my blade. Second one, still got one more, there's the second one and there's the third one. Alright, so when we do the Wing Chun, it's got to be the fact that when I take the first one, I'm behind it. Second one, I'm behind the third one behind it. Can you see? So it doesn't really matter which one he shoots off first, because the first one, when he fires off the front, I'm here straight away. Then the next one, and then the third one. Yes? Right, so everything we do in the ceiling tower, we do much more effective with the blades. Yes? And it's a close range system. So what happens is that when we first train, yes, we need to do all this training. We get used to how we get the pattern. But it's not where we actually end up. We're not actually going to chase that blade in the end. But we need to train this so that we can learn how to release the power out through the blades. Yes? Alright, any questions? So that way at least it shows you, I can show you where we're heading with this, because obviously a lot of you are only training the knives because it's the only way we can get contact. Okay? But so then we're going to have to work backwards, and when we